Hey, lovelies. Just going to make sure I can hear my voice. Hmm. Thank you for joining me. Whenever you join, let's just settle in together into this space, into this energy, into community, into connection. And let's just breathe deeply here for a second. I know that so many people right now are navigating through some really hard energies. There's been a huge collective shift, a lot of big purging, a lot of different energies as we are going through this societal shift. If you haven't noticed, so many people all over are waking up to new ideas about themselves and the world, what it means to be fully alive, maybe realizing things that they've always believed in that are no longer true, seeing different truths and things where before maybe they were blind or had their eyes closed. And today, as we sink into whatever we're feeling, I'm hoping to offer you some guidance around navigating through the ups and downs of life, the different sensations and emotions that might be coming up and being stirred within you, and how you can find a really stable sense of peace and calm no matter what you're experiencing. Today we're going to learn together how we can embrace and open to all of our emotions, and also how we can choose to have emotions and feelings about our lives and about the world that are more in alignment with our souls. We're also going to talk about what it looks like to be fully alive, present, embodied in both our humanity and our spirit, so that we can live this life to the fullest, so that we can move through life with the most ease and grace, so that we can create beautiful, sacred connections, so that we can honor ourselves and not constantly feel like we're on a roller coaster. So, the first thing I want to offer you today is what emotions really are. So, when we are born into this world, right, we're these beautiful blank canvases. Every interaction, every experience, whether it's good, bad, right, or wrong, creates a core belief within us. These core beliefs shape the way that we view ourselves, other people, the world around us, money, different systems of authority. All of the different things that we view life comes from these core beliefs that we learn as we are raised. Emotions, the different sensations in our body, are us responding to those core beliefs. For example, if there are two different people, and maybe let's just say two different students at school, they are doing some sort of behavior in the hallways that maybe is looked down upon. One of these students comes from a very supportive, nurturing, stable home, whatever that looks like for them, has a really good sense of themselves and the world. The other student, not so much. So when they are reprimanded, one student might respond with, okay, this is an experience to learn. This is an experience to grow. And while I feel a little like disappointed in this person or myself or whatever it might be, I'll move through it. I'll go talk to my support system, whatever it might look like. The other student might really internalize that. They might say, well, yes, I am bad. I am unworthy. I did something wrong. It's that experience that triggered emotions based on the core beliefs that were developed in these two different individuals. And then these emotions guide us in to different states of mind. We can either open to it to learn from it or close off and shut ourselves down. So we have to do two different things. Number one, we have to be really aware of the different core beliefs that we have inside of our bodies, the different core beliefs that we are operating from on a daily, moment by moment basis. We would do that by careful observation, right? Really sitting down and looking at our different views of relationships, of love, of finances, of all of the different things. We look at our core beliefs, and then we have this really powerful data about how we move through the world. The second thing we do is we look at how we respond to certain energies. What triggers feelings of sadness? What triggers feelings of anger? What triggers feelings of joy? And we look at those different things and we say, what core belief is that attached to? We can also, as these emotions arise, choose to ask questions about it. Well, what core belief is this emotion stem from? The whole point is to be curious about our emotions and not let them take the reins over our lives. Being a mentor to creatives and musicians and entrepreneurs, I see so often their experiences in life creating emotions that throw them all the way off track. They let their emotions, good, bad, right, or wrong, come up and invade everything they have going on internally and externally. They are swayed. Something in the external world might come in and trigger an emotion, and it rocks their entire life. Their business falls apart, their family falls apart, whatever it might be. The key here is to, instead of letting our emotions control us, to listen and learn from them and slowly teach our body how to respond based on the set of core beliefs that we want to adopt. So let's talk about this for a minute. So an example, maybe when you were a kid, every time you went to the grocery store, you felt anxiety. You saw the stress in your mom's eyes every time she went to get groceries or every time you needed something for school. You felt anxiety anytime there was anything about spending money. So now as an adult, maybe just the word money triggers you. Maybe you go into a grocery store and every time you go to swipe your card, you get anxious. These are core beliefs and emotions based on those core beliefs that we're noticing. So what we do is we tune in, we have this observation, we have this data, and the next time that we go to the grocery store, the next time that we hear the word money, instead we pause. And this is what people in today's world have a really hard time doing. We pause in that moment. Whether you're checking out with the cashier, whether you're in the middle of a conversation, you get triggered, you pause. It's okay. You have permission to not rush through life. You take a time out and you stop in that moment and you notice and you open to that emotion and you let yourself feel it. Now, depending where you're at and how you move through things, you could start telling yourself, whether it's your inner child or just yourself in that moment, I am safe. It is safe to spend this money, spend the money and move on. And we do this by carefully correcting ourselves in alignment with what we want our core beliefs is. So maybe that person's made a decision that they no longer want to feel anxiety around money. So they're going to invest the time that it takes to, every time that trigger arises, to be really curious about the emotion and then slowly start to reparent it by pausing, regulating the nervous system, teaching something new. So I want to give you permission here today to be very curious about your emotions. Allow yourself to learn from them. We're not trying to avoid them or run away from them. We're trying to learn from all of them. When we do this, when we, the observer, the listener, the one that is stepping back away from the emotions and the experiences that are happening, can start to see and turn ourselves back into different core beliefs, into different ways of being and different ways of thinking, we find this really deep sense of empowerment. Life no longer, it's not something that we have to argue with. We simply get to embrace it. And this is how you come fully alive. This is how it feels to be fully alive, constantly connected to that higher level of consciousness. You can move through the world, and regardless of what's happening around you, you can consciously choose how you're going to respond by remaining curious and open to your emotions and to your experiences, coming back to yourself and choosing either to simply let it be how it is or slowly train yourself to feel the way that you want to feel. So many people I know right now with the heavy anxieties or the fears or the surrounding you, I know it can be so easy to get consumed and to let it take over everything. But what I want you to remember is that sense of urgency, that sense of survival that comes up, that is all trauma and ego. We don't have to respond to it in that way. What it needs is curiosity and compassion. Our emotions are our greatest allies. They are teaching us about ourselves. They're teaching us about our core beliefs. They're teaching us about the way that we see the world. And at any moment, in any time, we have the ability to stop, to embrace it, and to choose to move in a different direction, not by fighting, not by avoiding, not by bypassing, but by being with, honoring, reteaching, and moving forward. There has been so much shift and urgency, this deep sense of trying to get to the top or trying to fulfill a purpose. So many different things that I've heard and witnessed through my asking you to do is take some time to slow down. We get so focused on the destination that we forget the magic in every single moment. We forget the magic in witnessing our children yard. We forget the magic of simply looking out the window and seeing the sky and the trees. We forget the magic of the different relationships and connections that we have. We forget the magic of every single emotion and sensation that we experience in our physical form. We are so beautifully blessed to simply be alive. We don't have to get anywhere. We don't have to accomplish anything. We don't have to do anything. We've allowed ourselves, I feel like, as a society to get sucked into this way of being and thinking, where there's always got to be this end result, where we've always got to achieve and be. Even the way that we've set up our ways of living, for little compartments or houses or subdivisions or whatever. And everybody's constantly fighting for survival, for how they're going to create and fulfill and meet obligations. Instead of coming together in community and harmony, we're here to experience life with other people, with different sensations, not to isolate and protect ourselves out of fear or doubt. But I think a lot of the times, because of the things that have happened in the world, the things that everybody's moving through, those emotions and those nervous systems have got so unregulated that we've really let them take over our whole lives, trying to feel better instead of just embracing what is. Some days life is going to be really hard, and that's okay. Open to it, be curious about it, and you'll move through it. You'll be able to listen and honor and respond to your body and live a life a little bit more fully. Some days life is going to be really fucking great, and that's okay too. Open to it. Let yourself feel it all. Don't try to attach it to anything. We get so attached to tomorrow, to yesterday. What if those two things didn't exist? What if the only thing that exists was right here, right now, in this present moment, the magic that we were creating, that we were witnessing, that we were experiencing? It's in stepping into that and noticing all the ways that you're giving your energy, your time into controlling things that haven't happened yet or already happened and can't be changed. That's kind of like the never ending thing of the human psyche, right? And so it's about really going back to the beginning, looking at the core beliefs you're plugged into. Where is the sense of urgency coming from? Where is the sense of failure coming from? Where is the sense of sadness? Where is the sense of disconnection coming from? What core belief am I rooted into? And what is this emotion trying to tell me about myself and my current experience? And can I open deeper to this emotion, to this experience? Now, I'm going to give you some tools. I don't want to just talk your head off. So I'm going to give you some actual tools, okay, to be able to open to these. So number one, if you are feeling some sort, I know everybody watching right now is feeling some sort of emotion, good, bad, right, or wrong, doesn't matter. So I want you to notice that emotion, that sensation within. And I want you to just take a moment. You can put your hand on your heart and belly and just breathe in, open and expand to that emotion. Be really curious about it. Just let it be here. And as you breathe in, honoring that emotion, letting it grow, letting it take life. As you breathe out, creating more space for that emotion to take up inside your being, inside your energy field, inside of your psyche. So we're not resisting, we're allowing it to make a room inside of us, to take up acreage in our hearts and our bodies. Breathe it in, expand, let it have space. We do that for a little while, breathing it in, expanding, letting it have space. And then eventually we move on to breathing it in, expanding, letting it have space, and then bringing into our hearts, into our knowing, into our being, all the other people in the world, billions of people, like 7.3 billion people, I don't know the exact number in the world. How many of them might be feeling that same emotion? For example, maybe you're feeling scared, doubt, maybe you're feeling lonely. Let's do loneliness. That's a really common one. Maybe you're feeling lonely. So we're breathing in, just letting that loneliness kind of ruminate within us. We're creating space for it. And then we're tapping into every other person in the world that right here, right now might be feeling loneliness. And we're breathing in our loneliness and theirs. We're making space for our loneliness and theirs. We're breathing it in. We're noticing, feeling every other person, maybe hundreds of thousands of people that might be feeling lonely right now. We're breathing it in. We're making space for it. We do that for a minute and then breathing in, making space for it. And we really sink into a sense of compassion. May all beings, including myself, feel free from this feeling of loneliness. May all beings, including myself, feel connected and spacious in their own bodies. And so you're not only breathing in and opening and expanding for your own emotions, honoring and finding compassion for them, but you're also doing that for all of the people that you can fathom on the world that are creating and feeling that same sensation. And as you do that, you notice what happens is those emotions and those sensations, they actually start to dissolve. They start to dissolve, and so that you can find a space of neutrality. It's from that space of neutrality that a lot of people have a hard time sitting. Because as soon as we start to feel good again, our mind and our egos want to search for something else. The number one addiction, I believe, on the planet is the addiction to suffering. It all comes from right here. We feel these emotions, and then we think these thoughts, then these thoughts spiral, and it is this never-ending cycle. What we want to do is get to that space of present moment being. I breathed in the compassion for including myself feeling loneliness. And I felt this sense of neutrality. And I try to stay here in the present moment. Maybe I look around me and I feel awe and gratitude for all of the things. Instead of searching, well, what about tomorrow? What if I feel lonely tomorrow? Am I going to do this again tomorrow? Remember, we've removed tomorrow. Right now, what exists is this present moment right here. And we repeat and we do it again. And we start to notice and catch ourselves in these little cycles. One thing that I found very useful for myself and for my clients is in catching ourselves before the mind spirals. So we have about 90 seconds when emotions hit our body before it goes up into our brain of thought. And so maybe if one of your go-to feelings is maybe anxiety in your belly, maybe you notice the very first thing that happens is your jaw gets really tight. So my jaw's tight. Okay, I noticed that. What I'm going to start doing is when I feel that jaw tight, I'm going to breathe in through my nose and a little bit longer out through my mouth, triggering the asympathetic nervous system so that I can tell my body that I am safe. So that instead of feeling my jaw clench and having that gut reaction of anxiety that goes up to my brain and makes all of these stories about all the things that could go wrong or have gone wrong, I'm using breath as my medicine to breathe into the moment. I am safe. I'm honoring, I'm expanding, I'm opening myself up, letting whatever feelings or sensations there live within me as long as they want to. I'm not closing them off, because when I close them off, my mind starts to fight that too, right? Finds solutions, finds all of the different reasons I might be feeling this, how I can get out of feeling this. I'm just honoring it. I'm breathing. Maybe I, again, go into the practice of anyone who's feeling this sensation right now, breathing it in, finding compassion, right? But it's in the opening, being curious, finding safety through our emotions and creating different thought patterns that change slowly but surely these core beliefs. So that one day, going back to the story from the beginning, we go into the grocery store to spend our money and we feel abundant and exuberant instead of anxious and lacking. This is the cycle of setting yourself free. It's in these short term decisions that make the long term better. I used to say this to my students all the time when they were struggling in school, right? We have an option now to choose pausing, even in an awkward moment, to regulate ourselves for a long term effect. Or we can choose to continue shoving it down or doing what might be easiest in the moment and creating a harder long term effect. It's in the small little choices we make each and every day to simply be, to regulate, to learn from ourselves, that we can enhance our connections, our energy, our lives, that we can really be fully alive and present here on earth and not running to or from anything, simply flourishing and being inspired by the present moment. So as you move through it all today, I hope that you can allow yourself to be really curious about your emotions, to let them swim and dance with you, to go on a journey with them, to listen to them, to meet your needs, and slowly but surely start telling yourself a different story so that those core beliefs can change over time and you can find the peace and the long term stability that you seek so that you can fully enjoy each moment of this life, no matter the circumstances of your external world. I love you guys so much. I'm going to put a meditation in the links in the comments that just helps kind of step into that universal compassion, breathes you into having compassion for yourself and all beings of the world. And I'm also going to put in the comments the link to my anger alchemy. It's just it's a beautiful guidebook. It's a 5-day detox. It's $7. It's a do-it-yourself thing where you can really move in through cleansing. It's a physical cleanse through a recipe that I give you in the guidebook. And then a mind body cleanse through different meditation rituals, rage rituals, yoga poses that'll allow you over the course of 5 days to really release some of the stagnant emotions and really learn more about where all of the different energies and emotions lie in your body. So I'll put the link to that in the comments too. It's a really beautiful 5-day program to just kind of harness the energies of where you're at right now. Regardless of how you move forward, I want you to know that you always have a choice in every single moment about how you feel and how you're experiencing life. And I know it's not always easy, but you can make it easy yourself with finding compassion and that stillness. Here, I'm missing you. Eyes, breathe